Back in the 80s, I started thinking about the idea of public symbols, you know, like flags and coats of arms and heraldry and things families identified with. I came up with the thought that it would be interesting maybe if each individual had a symbol in the world, as opposed to just joining a group that had a symbol. So I tried to design a kind of heraldic symbol that thousands of people could have their own symbol. But in 2005, I changed that to where there could be billions of symbols. I increased the system so that I could figure out how to keep making unique objects that would give one to everybody in the world, theoretically. It was right after that I was invited to make a proposal for the library. I didn't know that much about Queens, but I learned that Queens has one of the most varied populations. So it seemed like a perfect fit for my idea of everybody in the world having their own shape.
The amazing aspect of the project of the Shapes is that Allan has set up essentially a systems approach to producing art. This issue of the multiple and the identity and the differences, the subtle differences between the shapes, seem to embody fantastically what was from the beginning the agenda of this building, which is to precisely address community such that the library itself acts as a community center where this multiplicity of identity and agendas come together.
This was the first project that Allan and I started. The first thing I did was to help him present for getting this commission to begin with. That was 8.5 years ago. This one's different because of its permanency. You know, usually the shows that we install are up for a month or two, so it is different because of that. The first week, we're just going to be plotting out the points and kind of making the grid. The plan has been for Allan to come in after we've gotten set up so that he can decide on the spacing of the overall installation. And I'm very excited to see the shapes on the wall.
It seems like they should look centered, like the top one looks 1 inch from the edge. That's great. Okay, I was afraid it wouldn't work. I think that's great, thank you. I've always wanted how my work was made to be described in just a couple of sentences. What it means, that can take hours and hours and hours, or years for all I know. A lot of times when you're in a kind of a small art world like I am, like New York, there's a kind of an art world that you have to know this and you have to know that and you have to know history, and there's all sorts of things you sort of need to know to help you understand things. But there's some kind of art that you don't have to know anything and you get something out of it. That's one of the things I think about with some of my projects. And the public projects make it even more complicated because the person might not even see what they're walking by to be an artwork at all.
Public art is very important if it manages to engage the public in a way that is more direct and visceral than maybe what a building can do. His work can be perceived in a so-called state of destruction, which is a condition of architecture in the city, but at the same time being able to engage more viscerally an imaginary level that resonates through little displacements and therefore opening up margins of new perception that eventually allow this agenda to be accessible to a great variety of patrons.
In my most childish fantasies, would form a model for how to think of large quantities of people. The way we have of defining people should be, there should be more options. And I'm hoping this work opens up some doors to thinking up more options. The 31 billion shapes that I could make, no two would ever repeat one another. So there's that sense that you could be a part of a system, but at the same time be a completely unique person. You know, I don't know, that's fantasies of my own.